Hey guys, Miranda Pitrone back here with you with another ornament. I hope you're enjoying these. We have these new sled ones here that the Dollar Tree has, and I'm going to be using this center one today. They actually have them in stock right now locally. These are online, which you can buy, but they're by the case, so I don't want 24 of them. So we're going to work with this one today. And just a quick reminder, the holiday market is this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday. If you're local, come say hi and you can check out all these ornaments in person. Super exciting. All right, let's move on to what we are going to paint today. All right, so here is this cute little sled here. And even if you're looking for something comparable, the full length of the sled is 8.5 inches. So just the area we're going to be painting is about 5 inches tall by 3.5 inches across. And we're just going to be doing a simple white snowflake type mandala on here today to just kind of spruce it up a little bit and get it ready to go. So I have some of the Happy Dotting Company dotting tools that I'll be using now. So this is the number 12, and I'm trying these on for size. I have not used them before. I don't really know how much paint they hold and how far walking out the dots will go, so we are going to learn this together. They also have this nice, really pointy one, the number 1. And these will be great in the future for patterns because we can just use the size and go along with it together. It doesn't feel like it's grabbing quite enough paint, so I'm actually going to keep on dipping and dotting so we can keep about the same size dot here as we go around that first large dot that we put at the base of the sled. So again, this will help you keep the same size. I'm just stealing from the wet paint at the center. And let's do another round after this row. We'll add another ring here. And I'm dipping off to the side just so I can get a little bit more paint on it so they're just a tad larger. It does seem like these tools, you're going to have to dip and dot to keep the amount of paint on here. Let's see if this will help so I can kind of move it around here a little easier. The sled is a little large, so I wasn't quite sure if it would fit on my turntable, but we'll try it. Plus, you all can't see this from the video, but my workspace is kind of a mess and very crowded, so it might not spin so well here. We'll try. This turntable is one of the most asked about things that I have on here, and everything that I use in my videos, just so if you're new, they're in the description so you guys can check them out. Alright, so it's going to end up being kind of a snowflakey, maybe we'll do it like the musical snowflake mandala that I did a couple years ago, and we'll see how it goes. So this is going to be a longer swipe. Try to center it on here. And I don't tend to use a lot of grid lines. Every now and then a compass, but my compass doesn't have any lead right now, so I'm just going to wing it and we'll see how we go from here. But that's kind of the fluidity too of art, is just kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect placement. We're not machines. It's not a blueprint. It's just us enjoying the time painting and creating something lovely. So these two, this is the pointy tipped one, and I haven't tested to see how far they can drag the paint out, but it goes pretty well. similar to the etcher. I'm just kind of lining it up by my eye here. About a thumb width, about a thumb width away, maybe a fingertip. Does anybody else measure using their body parts? I think my mom told me once that your finger or your thumb from the knuckle to the end is about an inch, so I often will use that to estimate. And the angle I have my camera makes that look a little bit longer, but it's not as bad as it looks. It's just the angle. So we'll go off to the 45 degrees here and just kind of eyeball it in the middle of those two swipes that we put down already. I just didn't get enough paint on here. Sometimes too the paint starts to dry in the palette, so you just have to make sure that the fluidity is consistent so you can keep on dotting, especially with the swipes. You want to make sure that it's fairly fluid so that you can drag it out into this shape. And to get that tail too, sometimes all you have to do is just grab it and drag it a little farther. Now from the top of each of these swipes, I'm going to dot down to the base of the swipe to the right of it. And again, I'm going to have to keep adding a little bit more paint on just because the straight edge doesn't hold as much paint as I would like. And this one, obviously our design has gone off the shape, so we just kind of tuck it in there where it would have gone. And this little guy is a little bit shorter than the rest, so let's add a dot up here. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's art. And that way too, it just kind of looks the focal point down the center. And this one is long enough, we'll start back at the top here. I'm really pressing down, you can see here, just to get that full circular dot. And the paint I'm using is just Deco Art Americana. It's their titanium white. Okay, so over here, we technically, if it had continued, it would have come down right here to the base of this one. So I'm just gonna fake it and stick it in there as if the design had continued. Right, so now at the top we're gonna do just a little 3-swipe little, it looks like a little fountain on the top, just 3 little tiny swipes. I'm just trying to get a feel for what these tools can do, so I thank you all for bearing with me. That one didn't go too well on the tail, so we'll just extend it up a little there. But again, anytime the paint just starts to thicken, I might have got a little chunk in there, who knows. This is just me getting a feel for what these can do because I have not ever used them before. Especially not the pointy one. I think I used a couple of the flat ones on the recent cup design, the video before this one. See, that didn't hold the paint, so I gotta grab it again here. There we go. So it just kind of looks like a little fountain coming out of the top of each one of these, just to kind of give it a little bit of pizzazz on the ends. This is similar to the musical mandala that I did on a pewter stone a couple years ago. You'll see that video in the list as well. So we're going to kind of keep creating up here, building up the design a bit by adding one more row of dots here from the top of the swipe down to the base of the swipe next to it. And you can use your dotting tools, paint brushes, whatever you normally use to create these designs. This is just what people are calling walking the dots these days. They're just going and letting the paint dry up off the tool so the dots get smaller because you have less paint. I think I'm only going to be able to fit 2 rows on here without having it look too busy in this area. So we'll add in some different elements here in a minute. And of course over here is where the design would continue on, so we're just going to add a couple dots around there. Okay, so now this is kind of like an apostrophe, a dragged out apostrophe in my mind. And you just kind of circle it around. Almost like an upside down 6. I had too much paint on that, so it wouldn't leave a space there. It would have just made a big blob. So I had to drop a little bit of paint off to the side there. And then see how I'm just continually pulling out the tail. If you want it a little bit longer, you just grab from the smaller point and pull the paint. And that'll work for a little bit. Here and around. If I were to flip it, would be kind of like you were drawing the number 6 upside down here. Or an apostrophe or a comma, something to that effect. But leaving a little bit of space so you get that little swirl around from the tail area here. Sometimes I know people get to a point where they don't know what design to add next. But a lot of times when I'm filling in an area, I try to kind of gauge, say you were to take a compass and just kind of draw a circle to the extended points of those little fountains to see how far out the design comes. And then I try to tuck things in there to kind of keep the design contained so it's still a circular design, if that makes sense. So if I had drawn guidelines, we would be staying within the rung of whatever guideline would be at this extent of the design. And that way too, it kind of helps, in my mind anyway, to build upon that design. So like when you get out to this far, and you're thinking, well, where can I add stuff where it doesn't look out of place? Where can I add, to further the design out and extend it more as far as a mandala is concerned? Especially when you're using a lot of negative space. So if you have a lot of area where it's just blank in the background, sometimes it can be a challenge, but I encourage you to just be bold and try it. You can always paint it over black if you don't want it again, or whatever your background color is. I just think sometimes you don't have to fill in every little space and it can still be lovely. All right, so I'm going back to the larger flat ends. And this will help us extend out here. So you'll see we put some of the larger dots here with the 11.5. It's probably comparable if you have the acrylic rods. It's probably comparable to the large blue, large pink one, which I think is about 3/4 of an inch. Maybe half an inch. I'll say half an inch diameter. And at the end of each of the fountains, we're going to do that. So you see on the edge of the sled, I still did the dot, even though the full dot wouldn't fit there, because that your design would continue there. And that's how you do odd shaped and filling them with mandalas. You just continue the design on as if it were just a full canvas and add in the points. Sometimes it doesn't always work, and you just kind of have to fudge the colors in or put a couple dots at the bottom or change up the design so that it is not continual. So had it been a full canvas, it might not have been all the same all around symmetrically. All right, so now we're going to do 2 rings of dots here around each of these larger dots that we just put down. And we'll do this around each of the large circles here. While I'm doing this, I just kind of want to talk about social media a bit. There's a lot of problems with notifications and algorithms between all the main social media sites. YouTube, even here, I've noticed I'm not getting notifications for a lot of the comments, even though I encourage you to please leave them for me. Just say hi or a smiley face or something, because it helps my channel. It's something you guys can do that's not, it doesn't cost anything. Just say a hi or a heart or whatever. Even a comment about the video is fantastic. Engagement is fantastic. YouTube really thrives on that. But I do not think that wasting my time on Facebook and Instagram is really beneficial. I'm doing my best to keep up with posts and posting on there and putting up pictures of projects, but if you really want to contact me, my website is the place to go. If you want to talk about an order or commission or have questions or just any of that where you want to get in touch with me, go to mirandapitroneart.com, and that comes directly to my email. So there's no messing around with some other entity being in control of whether or not I get the messages and notifications. I know I've seen a few, some of you have written me on Facebook, and then it doesn't allow me to access any of the messages. So I'm just going to have to stick with the website here, because that's the one thing that I can be in control of. To keep in touch with you all. So here on the edge, the dots are going to be smaller towards the base, so I'm putting less paint on the tool. I'm just grabbing actually from the center dot and putting less paint because they would have gradually gone down in size, but we didn't have that full dot there. Another thing I want to say is thank you so much for all the support and people who have stuck with me for the years and years that we've been on here. I know sometimes it can be a little challenging, but just thank you for bearing with me. It's like an ever-changing entity on here, and I'm always trying to puzzle out the best way to get this content out there, and to just make it available and make the tools available, and just to try to continue on letting everyone enjoy this art. And if you're not fond of my videos, there are tons of other artists out there now who are doing these videos with, they call it dot art, and mandalas, and just tons of painting videos out there now. So I encourage you just to search YouTube if this isn't a great fit for you. There's lots of other people out there with different styles who are ready, willing, and able to show you how they do it. So again, less dots here, less paint on the tool because they're already smaller at the bottom. And sometimes it's just an eyeball of it, knowing how much paint needs to be on your tool. Sometimes you can dip it like you were gonna start at the top with the larger dots and then just kind of dab the paint off a couple times on a piece of paper or something off to the side. So this is a specialty one on here. It actually has a ball end stylus. It doesn't quite go as large as the ball, but I would say it's probably comparable to the 3mm ball stylus in the bent angled tools that I've been making. The green one I think is the largest usually, and then there's a small one here too. It's probably about 1mm, 1.5. Let's see how well this does a little swipe around here. Oh, not bad. It's a nice thicker design. Oh, that's cute. I like that. So again, it's just one pressure. It's not a paintbrush or anything, so it's one, and then pull it out to see how far the paint will take you. And this one we can't get a full one, so I'm just going to do the base of one of the swipes here. We're just going to fake it in there. So you can't see the rest of the design there, but that's where it would have been. Okay, another one of the specialty one here. It's the 7.5 flat. I think my paint is starting to get a little drier too, so I just re-poured a bit here. Try to get a bit of a rounder dot out of it. Please excuse my hands too. I keep looking at them here in the video. Thanksgiving, I cooked a bit and burnt my hands multiple times on the wire rack, so just disregard that. I'm okay, I promise. I'm sure we've all done it. Alright, so now I just want to say, because you guys probably can't tell this, but this space on this side is a little bit smaller on mine with my spacing, so I'm actually going to drop down the size of the tool for this dot. I'm going to drop it down to a smaller tool just so that I can tuck the dot in there. And then we have our mandala going very well here. I'm just debating on doing some swipes or what the next element I want to add is. I kind of want to bring it out just a little bit farther. I talked about the grid zones, but this one I want a little farther than where the zone is. And we're going to do kind of a larger fountain type swipe bundle here. And I've always called them swipes, but in the actual art and painting world with brushes, I guess people, when you curve them around or do this, they call them comma strokes. I'm not sure what you call it when you just drag it out straight, but I see a lot of people calling them swooshes and swishies and swoops and a dot drag, which actually is good to its name, but I just have always called them swipes. I don't really know, just so you know what I'm talking about. This is our swipe bundle here that looks like a larger fountain. And I just did one down the middle, and then I'm just connecting in 3 branches off from one side and then 3 branches in from the other side. And then I'm trying to kind of drag them in towards that center one so I don't thicken up the base quite that much. I don't want a giant tree trunk here. I just want it to kind of look elegant and tuck them down in and overlap at the base. So we haven't gotten much thicker than our initial swipe, just a little bit, but not much. But that's another thing too. If you want to change up your design, make the bases thicker, spread them out along the dot. There's like infinite possibilities to go with mandalas at each stage, at every element that you add. It's the beauty of these. It's a new adventure every single time. I've talked with some of you about it being a choose your own adventure. You know, where am I going to go? What page are we going to turn to at this one? Well, what element are you going to put in at this next juncture on each point of it? So you can just keep going, different colors, different styles, different shapes. It doesn't just have to be all dots. And so I just want to show you too here. This was done with one of the bent styluses, the angled styluses. Just because I can get a more loaded tool with the paint. I can load more paint on it. So, and just to kind of make this more snowflakey, I'm just going to add a couple dots at the end here. And then a little triple at the end. And then I think I'm going to be finished with this design. So I just added this cute little buffalo plaid bow. And you could put something like let it snow or believe, or leave it blank if you like. It's pretty cute like that as well. Maybe add a couple little snowflakes there, but there you get the general idea of what you can do with a nice big mandala on these. Looks like I spilled some glitter on there too. So I hope you enjoyed painting this with me. These are at the Dollar Tree right now, so you could go check them out to try to grab some. They have a couple different kinds, but I thought it would be a fun little project to create. And the buffalo check plaid is really in, especially for the Farmhouse and Rustic designs. Alright, well I hope you all have an awesome day. I will probably seal this off with my Liquitex Professional High Gloss just to give it some protection, especially if we're going to be putting it on a tree or outside on a door for the weather. And it will have some protection that way. Yeah, so let me know what you think in the comments. Say hi, help an artist out, you know, even if you just put a little emoji like a smiley face or something like that. It helps the algorithm keep going on YouTube to continue the videos. So, and if you are looking for more of my videos, you can just click subscribe and you'll be notified with the little bell I think there is on the screen. You know, I'm getting old, all this tech stuff. That way you'll be notified every time I put out a new video. Alright guys, have a great day. Happy holidays. There might be more coming before Christmas. We'll see how much time I have, but I hope these ornament ones have been fun for you this year. And if you haven't, you could check out the snowman, the coffee cup, and the evergreen tree ones as well. Alright, happy painting!